Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros open a 6-game homestand. It's the first of 3 for them against the Seattle Mariners. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Jeff Blum and Julia Morales will be joining us soon. The Astros coming home from a 3-3 road trip in first place by 3 games right now, Jeff.
Yeah, that's a good thing. They did what they wanted to do on the road. Last homestand, they did a great job. A lot of magic happening. Went out on the road, took that split, which is what you want to do on the road.
Now, 31 games remaining for the Astros, and here is what lies in front of them. 25 of those against their own division. They have home-and-home series with everybody.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. Baseball has lined this up. Some call it unbalanced, some call it balanced. But I like the fact that in order to win your division, you've got to beat your division. You see the records on the right of the Astros against their interdivision rivals. It's been tough go against the Texas Rangers, but they have 7 more opportunities to take advantage of that and maybe turn those things around. But I like the fact that they have got to beat up on the West to win the West. And these guys have good records against everybody else except Texas, and they have their opportunities to capitalize on it.
Carlos Correa returns to the lineup tonight after missing the last 4 games with a hamstring strain.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a little bit of a spark, why not this kid? We know the numbers are great, 278 with those 15 bombs. He is a rookie, but he is also a catalyst in that lineup, hitting out of that 3-hole. He is somebody they need in that lineup because it allows that lineup to be pushed down a little bit more. Carlos Gomez won't have that much expectation put on him now, hitting in the middle of the order, push him down that 6-7 spot, allow him to get on base. Evan Gattis should have more opportunities with Carlos Correa hitting in front of him for those RBI situations. But what he does on defense, too, he allows Marwin Gonzalez to maybe move around the diamond a little bit more like we saw, play some first base, and continue to get Margot's bat into that lineup. So Carlos Correa is going to be a fantastic addition again to this ball club.
The Mariners also have some hot bats. In fact, they lead the American League in several categories, believe it or not, since the All-Star break.
Yeah, who would have thought the Seattle Mariners in total bases with what the Toronto Blue Jays are doing after the second half here?
Robinson Cano certainly is one of those who's rounded into top form.
Yeah, Seattle Mariners fans are probably pretty happy to see him turn his season around. I know we went through there early in the season. It was almost a borderline out. He was hitting the ball hard, hitting it right at people, unfortunately, but Nelson Cruz was getting his hits. But now Nelson Cruz is absolutely taken off. And now the way you see the lineup kind of shake out, wasn't it Cano that wanted to have that right-handed bat hitting behind him? Now Cano is a left-handed bat protecting a guy like Nelson Cruz. So it's interesting how the Seattle Mariners season just shook out.
Coming up, cruise control. Dallas Keuchel has dominated most of the hitters in baseball for 2 years running, but he's had trouble taming the big bat of Nelson Cruz. What's the Astros' plan for diffusing the boomstick? We'll break it down when we return. .com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Coming up, old tricks. A year after Jose Altuve broke Biggio's hit record and won a batting title, he's up to his old tricks just in the nick of time for a pennant race. Can he keep the heat cranked up as the Astros pursue a title? Lineups and first pitch are straight ahead.
Quick homestand, a week-long homestand. They're looking for a win in order to secure another winning month, and they'll have Dallas Keuchel on the mound as I stand in front of Keuchel's corner now. These fans are excited to have their ace on the mound, who's looking for his 16th win of the season. That would put him on top of the American League. There's a good chance for all that happening because he is pitching right here at Minute Maid Park, where his numbers have been fantastic so far this season. He's our Kubota pitching performance, 11-0 in 14 starts right here on his home turf, a 1.35 ERA. Opponents only mustering a 180 batting average against Keuchel. And, of course, he's gone at least 6 innings in 37 consecutive starts, which has been impressive. Good against Detroit recently. He was really good in 7 innings against Texas last month. And then you're watching the highlights of the complete game shutout against the New York Yankees back in June. But one challenge will be Nelson Cruz in the Seattle Mariners lineup, who's been great this season for the Mariners. He's one shy of 40 home runs, but he got to Keuchel back on June 20th at Seattle. The career numbers for Cruz against Keuchel so far this year: he's 6 for 12, 2 homers, a couple of walks. And I talked to Hank Conger, who'll do the catching tonight. He said they're just going to have to pick their spots when it comes to Nelson Cruz and other guys in this lineup. And I tossed this up to Blummer in the booth on what Keuchel needs to do in order to approach a guy like Nelson Cruz and the Seattle Mariners.
Thanks, Julia. It's got to be tough. I know they've got a good game plan. We know that Dallas Keuchel does an excellent job of looking at scouting reports, tendencies, hot zones, cold zones. But what he's got to do is be able to be effective on 2 sides of the plate. You always hear me talking about there's 3 lanes on that home plate when a pitcher's looking at it. Inside corner, outside corner, and that middle, right down the middle. That's where he's got to avoid. That's where the damage has been done against Dallas Keuchel. If he can avoid hanging pitches up, down, in the middle of the zone, that's where Nelson Cruz has gotten to him. That's what I mean by lane changing. 3 lanes. Stay on that outside lane and that fast lane on the inside corner to Nelson Cruz. He's got to find a way to slow down his bat on that outside slow lane and have the ability to come on that inside corner with a fast lane with that fastball, that hard cutter, and even that slider down and in. And we know that Dallas Keuchel does a good job of shifting those speeds. He's got a downshift every once in a while. We know that changeup is great. That has been his best pitch so far this season. gets a good chase percentage on that. It's because he's got good arm action, good depth on it, good late break on it, allows those swings and misses. He doesn't leave that pitch up out of the plate too often. So those are just some of the things that Dallas has to do to offset a hot hitter in Nelson Cruz and also a hot lineup that the Seattle Mariners are bringing since the second half.
Here's the starting lineup now for Lloyd McClendon's Seattle Mariners. They've won 61 and lost 70 this season. They're 11 games behind the Astros. Ketel Marte, the rookie shortstop, leads it off. He's followed by Kyle Seager. Seager has 3 homers in his last 3 games. He's at third base. Nelson Cruz, the AL leader in long balls with 39, is in right field batting third. He's followed by second baseman Robinson Cano. With Franklin Gutierrez in left field, Mark Trumbo at first base. The DH is Jesus Montero. Moving to center field, Brad Miller, and the catcher is Jesus Sucre. Dallas Keuchel going after win number 16 of the year, which would make him the American League leader. I think Felix Hernandez shares the 15-win plateau with him. Felix initially was down to start this game tonight, but he's being skipped in the rotation. Keuchel in his career 3-4 against Seattle with a 2.88 ERA. And here's Marte. 289 for the switch hitting rookie. And he looks at ball one. Marte has no homers, 6 runs batted in. Good fielder at shortstop. That was a problem for this club yesterday against the Chicago White Sox. They lost a tough one in the 11th inning. They needed only to get the final out on a ball up the middle fielded by their shortstop yesterday, Brad Miller. He threw it away. The White Sox tied the game and went on to win it in the 11th inning. So Miller finds himself in center field tonight. And it's been a very eventful afternoon. The Mariners' former center fielder, Austin Jackson, was traded to the Cubs today. Well, they are making a change on the fly. Jackson traded for a player to be named and international draft slot. Wonder what that means for Dexter Fowler in Chicago.
It is kind of interesting because the Cubs are in first place. Dexter Fowler has been there all year. You wonder if he might be ailing a little bit. But Austin Jackson, a quality center fielder who is swinging a hot bat of late.
And of course, this is August 31st, so this trade makes Jackson eligible for postseason play with the Cubs. Marte lunges at a changeup and strikes out.
We'll take a look at that strike zone. Brought to you by MD Anderson. Did a good job. You see the fastball away, then the cutter inside, now the changeup away. So a good job by Dallas Keuchel. Working a little bit of that outside-inside mix.
Kyle Seager has been ripping the ball lately. Seager, the 27-year-old third baseman, steps up with a .262 average. 21 homers, 55 runs batted in. And they play him to pull on the infield. There is strike one. Angel Hernandez is the home plate umpire. Nelson Cruz on deck. As Keuchel is the lead man on this 6-game homestand for the Astros. 3 with the Twins coming over the weekend. It's a foul ball, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. Seager went 3 for 6 yesterday against the White Sox, including his most recent homer. And now homers in his last 3 games, as we mentioned, while going 8 for 15. In the last week, he's hit 4 long balls. The Seattle club has some hot hitters here in the second half. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 13th overall in the American League in runs scored. The Mariners have scored 509. But lately, they have really been bashing the ball. Time called. Every game, of course, important for the Astros. Blummer, we took a look at the remaining 31 starting tonight. This is 6-game homestand, then a huge 10-game road trip starts for you and Ash.
And you too.
Yeah?
You get to sneak into Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
You're not done traveling yet.
No, you're right. Seager strikes out. 2 punch-outs to open the game for Keuchel.
Good look at Nelson Cruz's hot cold zones. We talked about the hits and the home runs coming for Nelson Cruz. Likes that ball inside. Kind of sets up with that open stance. Likes to leave that front hip open to be able to unload on some of those pitches where the pitchers are trying to challenge him. Kind of interesting that those two slots down the middle are cold zones for him, but I think that spot Dallas Keuchel's looking at is that low and away spot. Has a tough time reaching it with that open stance.
314 for Nelson Cruz, 39 homers, leading the American League, 82 runs batted in, the top slugging percentage in the league, .598, and there's ball one to him. It's 2-0, and the great majority of his home runs have come on the road away from huge Safeco Field. He's also third in the AL in hits. Swings at that one, and it's 2-1. Jim Rice was the last player to lead the American League in both hits and homers, 1978.
Good location. That's a hitter's count, too, 2-0, when he gets a fastball by him.
Grounded to shortstop, Carlos Correa. Makes it a 1-2-3 first for Dallas Keuchel. Vidal Nuno ready to face Altuve, Gonzalez, and Correa in a moment. They liked what they saw in the top of the first. Now the Astros come up. Their starting lineup is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Leading off is sizzling Jose Altuve. He's on a 5-game hitting streak. He's at second base. Marwin Gonzalez follows. He has hit in 5 straight. He's in left field. Carlos Correa has missed the last 4 games. He's back at shortstop. Evan Gattis is the DH and cleanup man. In center field, it's Carlos Gomez. At third base, Jed Lowry. At first base, Chris Carter. The catcher is Hank Conger. And in right field, Jake Marisnick.
On the mound for the Mariners, left-hander Vidal Nuno, taking that spot of King Felix. Came over in the trade with Mark Trumbo from Arizona. His last start, he got the no decision, went 6 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits, 1 earned run. He's going to come at you with a fastball, slider, changeup combination.
Jose Altuve swinging at the first pitch, putting it in the air, and the left fielder comes in for it. Gutierrez, shortstop. Underneath it, Marte. Fair ball, 1 pitch, 1 out for Nuno.
Take a look at the Mariners defense here at Minute Maid Park. Franklin Gutierrez at left, Brad Miller in center field, Nelson Cruz in right. On the left side, Kyle Seager at third, Ketel Marte at shortstop, Robinson Cano and Mark Trumbo on the right side, and Jesus Sucre behind the plate working with Vidal Nuno.
This is Nuno's 6th career appearance against the Astros. The others have been in relief. No wins or losses, an ERA of 1.50, 1 earned run allowed in 6 innings against Houston. Switch hitting Marwin Gonzalez on a 5-game hitting streak, has a .273 average. Taking ball 1, has 9 homers, 31 runs batted in. He has hit well against the Mariners, .317 this season, 2 homers, 17 runs batted in, or 7 runs batted in rather this year. Nuno pumps it in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Nuno 0-5 in his last 12 road starts. He has not won a start on the road since May 7th, 2014. In the dirt, and it's 2-1. And this Seattle club has not fared well here in Houston. The Astros have won 6 of the 7 in this ballpark from the Mariners. Overall, they're 9-4 against Seattle this year. Two balls, 2 strikes from Nuno. He went to Baker University. He was born in San Diego, 28 years old. Drafted by Cleveland in the 48th round in 2009. And the Yankees picked him up as a free agent 2 years later, traded him to Arizona, and then, as Jeff mentioned, another deal bringing him along with Trumbo to the Seattle club this year. That start against the White Sox was a good one on the 22nd. Comes inside there. It's 3-2. You mentioned the numbers, 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 run for Nuno in that one. He left with a 3-1 lead, but wound up with a no decision when the bullpen couldn't hold on, and the Mariners lost 6-3. That's tap foul. The Astros certainly a different club at home, although their road trip of 3-3 was the best they've had since June. At home, they're 45-21. They've won 21 of their last 26 at Minute Maid Park. The Mariners are 32-34 on the road. And as much as their hitting has picked up, A.J. Hinch hopes their ERA stays about where it has been for August, 5.50 for this Mariners club this month. That's a walk, and Marwin didn't go fishing for that slider. It's a 1-out free pass, and Correa comes up.
Yeah, Marwin Gonzalez continuing those good at bats, barreling up some pitches on that road.
Carlos Correa was out for an early workout of sorts, doing some running and agility drills before passing the test to get back into the starting lineup with a .278 average, 15 homers, 43 runs batted in, and as you see, the slugging percentage an excellent .510. Correa takes, and there's strike 1 to Carlos. That hamstring was stretched out in the Yankees series, and that rendered him unable to play after Tuesday night.
Got to be careful with those hamstrings, especially when you're playing on a team that's in contention. You want them to stick around the entire month and go through the playoffs.
You ever have a hamstring injury?
Yeah, I've blown a couple, and I've tried to play through a couple, and that's the curious part for me in watching Carlos Correa the rest of the way. He's 20 years old. Usually guys that are a little more seasoned understand how to play with an injury like a hamstring, when to shut it down, when to use it, and how to treat it on a daily basis. So I'm sure the training staff, Nate Lucero, been around for a while, Rex Jones, talked to him a little bit and said, hey, we understand you're good enough to play, but maintain yourself. Don't overexert that thing when you don't have to.
Line drive, right center field, in for a hit. Marwin Gonzalez takes the turn, will hold. It's bobbled now, and he'll go on to third base. Cruz unable to make the clean pickup. It's a single and an error on Cruz, his 4th.
Take a look at this swing on Supermo, brought to you by Mattress Firm. Slider away. See it tailing down, but such a good job. We talk about how good Carlos Correa is at letting that ball get deep and using those good quick hands that he has. Just kind of goes directly to it but stays through it. And he's such a strong kid. He's able to punch that thing into right field. And Marwin Gonzalez with some good base running.
Evan Gattis has runners at first and third, 1 out. Marwin with a big lead. Gattis moves back from strike 1. Gattis with 22 homers is tied for the club lead. He does lead the club in runs batted in with 70, and his batting average is .240. He's driven in 13 against the Seattle club alone with 5 homers. 1-1. The Astros have hit .269 as a team against the Mariners. and they've scored 75 runs in 13 games. They've clubbed 27 long balls against the Mariners pitching staff. Gaddis lunges, and the ball gets away from the catcher Sucre. Correa moving to second base.
There's a pitch called earlier. The first strike in this at bat for Gaddis, it was down, and then you see that changeup grip coming out. I wonder if that led to Gaddis maybe offering a little too early on this pitch. Good read by Correa. Hamstring looked all right on that break.
Ruled a wild pitch. Well, you mentioned it, and he was not really testing that hamstring since he didn't have to. He eased into second base. Gaddis chops at it. That one was headed right for him, and he fought it off.
See him cruising into second base. That'll always make your manager kind of wonder what's going on out there. Carlos, we got to do a better job of acting. I'm sure he's fine.
Smart way to keep his body under control, though, and not risk any further injury of the hamstring.
And even Carlos Correa at 3/4 speed is going to be faster than a lot of guys around the major leagues.
That's line to right field. Cruz back for the catch. Here's the tag now by both runners. The throw coming into Cano. 1-0 Houston on the RBI by Gaddis. His 71st. Two-strike hitting.
Yeah, I think if there weren't two strikes, this ball might have got pummeled, because this is a pitch left up in the zone with two strikes. And Gaddis, knowing that all he has to do is get the ball hit hard in the air to the outfield and score Marwin Gonzalez easily, and that's all he was trying to do, and accomplished it.
Correa also tagged. He went to third. Carlos Gomez is on a 5-game hitting streak. 210, 2 homers, 8 runs batted in as an Astro. Pitch is up for ball 1.
Got to give the Astros credit. The last couple times we've seen Dallas Keuchel pitch, they've scored early. Puts a lot of pressure on the opposing offense to put them behind and force them to try and battle back against a guy like Keuchel.
1-1. It does make a difference. Gomez hit 280 on the road trip, including a homer and 4 runs batted in. He was 2 for 4 yesterday with a double at Minnesota. Moves out of the way of that one, and it's 1-2 to Carlos Gomez. Now, you made an interesting point earlier when you talked about the return of Carlos Correa to the lineup. Correa bats third. So Gomez, who's hit second, he's hit cleanup. He's hitting 5th tonight. May allow him to relax and let his talents come out a little bit more.
Yeah, and he might be hitting in that 5-hole because there is a left-hander on the mound.
He drives it to right center field. Long run for Cruz. Cruz out there under it and makes the catch. And the Astros come up with a run on 1 hit with 1 error and 1 left. They lead it 1-0 after 1.
coming today with that 3-game lead over the Texas Rangers, who are out there in San Diego, spacious San Diego. See if the fathers can do the Astros some favors by beating up on the Rangers. Angels falling 6.5 games back, falling out of that wild card also. 3.5 games back of that wild card. That series the Twins had against the Astros helped them out a little bit, getting them a game and a half behind the Rangers. Looks like the Yankees have a pretty good hold on that first place spot in the wild card. Interesting times ahead.
Oh, yes. Robinson Cano leads it off here. 1-0 Astros. Cano takes. There's ball one. At .283, he has 14 homers. 58 runs batted in. A .330 on base average for Cano, who did not do a whole lot the first half of the season, but he has rounded into top form. 1 ball, 1 strike. In fact, if you go by the numbers before and after the change of hitting coaches, Edgar Martinez has really produced some great results for Seattle, just as he did as a DH for them for many years.
I was just going to say, you hear so often when a hitting coach isn't doing a team any good in that turn, you really haven't heard much about Edgar Martinez. But you're right, a pretty stabilizing influence on that offensive side of the ball.
Cano takes it. It's 2-2. Cano, a very talented hitter, has hit .313 against the Astros this season with 5 runs batted in. .337 is his career average against Houston. Since July 1st, he's been a .346 hitter. He bounces this wide of first base.
He's just too good a hitter to be held down that long.
Since the All-Star break, he's rolled along to the tune of .353. You're right. The cream does rise to the top, doesn't it? And occasionally a superstar player will have an awful year, but usually over the course of 162 games, if he's healthy, a bad first half is going to turn.
Well, I think the consensus on Cano's swing is that it's too pure to struggle.
3-2 now. We saw some examination on some of the network shows in the first half. His hips were kind of locked off. He was hitting a lot of balls to left field. Looks like he may have changed his setup a little bit to open up the hips more.
Even the good ones have to adjust.
He bounces it to Keuchel. 1 out. And Keuchel continues to do what he's been doing all season long, make plays for himself.
Why wouldn't you get yourself in good fielding position? You're only helping your own cause by doing that. Dallas Keuchel is case in point on that. Gold Glove last year.
That was cat-like, very quick.
He's a borderline athlete for a pitcher.
He'll have to take that as a compliment. Franklin Gutierrez is the batter. 305, 10 homers, 28 runs batted in for the resurgent 32-year-old veteran. That's called a strike. Gutierrez probably would be in that lineup a lot more often if he hadn't had physical problems that prevent him from playing more. Last year he missed the entire season with a relapse of spondylitis. Swings there and it snowballs 2 strikes. But Gutierrez, in addition to hitting so well this year, is a top-notch defensive player in the outfield. He has a .636 slugging percentage. He's had 118 at bats. Infield shifts around, playing him to pull. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dallas Keuchel is a ground ball machine. His ground ball to fly ball ratio is 4.38, highest mark recorded by a pitcher in a single season since the stat was first tracked in 1987. Back to Keuchel. 2 outs, both comebackers. And it's Mark Trumbo. Trumbo's another Mariner who's gotten rolling. And he's 5 for 10 lifetime against Keuchel. .298 for Trumbo in his last 44 games with 7 homers, 20 runs batted in, and he's homered 5 times in his last 18 since August 7th. This one goes a long way to right field. Marisnick back. He's watching this one sail into the seats for a game-tying homer by Trumbo, number 9. First home run allowed all season at home by Dallas Keuchel. 101 1/3 innings at home without allowing a long ball until Trumbo just connected for number 9.
That's what everybody in Arizona was waiting for Trumbo to do. We know the pop is there. This looked like a pretty good approach. He was trying to force a ball. I think he was thinking the whole time of going that way, but you can see where Conger is set up and where the pitch leaks back. We talked about trying to stay away from that middle third of the plate. That one kind of leaked back over it.
Jesus Montero with strike 1. Comes up at 2-11.
Big, tall Trumbo, create leverage going the other way.
Mariners have hit 157 homers. They're 5th in the American League. Bounced on one hop wide of third. No balls, 2 strikes. Keuchel has been so magnificent in this ballpark. 11-0 with a 1.35 ERA this season. Overall, a 12-game winning streak at home dating back to the last decision last year. In the dirt, a swing and a miss. Montero is thrown out by Conger for strikeout number 3, and it's 1 run, 1 hit. Trumbo goes deep to tie the game at 1.
'16 Astros season tickets are on sale now. Guarantee your seats for a potential 2015 postseason run by reserving your 2016 season tickets today. Visit Astros.com/season tickets or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. We'll see Chris Carter due up here, and he was a big part of the Astros rally that happened in the 9th yesterday. It was a tough loss, but their ability to come back, put 5 runs on the Twins bullpen yesterday, it just kind of shows what the team has in them. And A.J. Hinch has talked about the resiliency. Jose Altuve talked about it too. It's a little spark, but it's what we needed before we got on that plane, knowing that we still had a little fight in us and we can start all over today, start a new series, and that's how we continue to play. That's how we've played all year, guys.
Ball 1 to Jen Lowry. Lowry sat out the game yesterday. 1 ball, 1 strike. He is 0 for his last 27, but he drilled a couple of balls in that last game that he started in Minnesota. Lowry had a fly ball caught by the center fielder Buxton Saturday on a really good catch. He lined out to left and he lined out to short, so he's had some good at bats, and then got kind of a mental day off yesterday from AJ. Now 1-2 to Lowry. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and those are things that can be really helpful for a player who's been grinding it. Jed's coming back from an injury, trying to get his stroke back together again. Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach, was talking about Jed's injury and George Springer's injury. Hand strength really required to hit in baseball, and that's what really happens to a player who's got some atrophy when a player is in a cast for a couple of months, as these 2 guys have been. They haven't been able to lift weights, so the hand strength is really affected, Blummer.
No, it is big time. And it's, the wrists and hands are tough areas, especially to recover from injury, get back in the game. And yeah, you can take a ton of swings in BP and in the cage, but you've got to get out there and physically take those swings, because it's that bat speed and the bat quickness, the hand quickness that creates that bat speed that you've got to redevelop. And that has a lot to do with your eye-hand coordination, getting in rhythm and getting that body in shape to swing quick again. It's tough.
Seager throws out Lowry, and now it's Carter, who ripped that ball to center field that Julia talked about for his 18th homer yesterday. Has 52 runs batted in and a 183 batting average for CC. So getting consecutive starts. That has not often been the case in recent weeks. There's ball 1 to Carter. He was 2 for 4 in the Minnesota series, 2 for 11 on the road trip. Nuno's working quickly.
I saw CC in the dugout before the game during BP, and I said, man, you got to start doing these things earlier in the game, man. Kind of gave me a chuckle. Said he was waiting to have 2 or 3 guys on base. He hit it with 2 guys on base last night. But any chance you have to do that to put your team ahead is a beautiful thing, and now's an opportunity.
3-0 pitch. He takes a strike. That would not have been a good 3-0 pitch to swing at.
Exactly. Pitcher's pitch right there. You don't want to expand when you have the count in your favor.
Now 3-2. Nuno steps a little bit toward the first baseline when he delivers the pitch, so he kind of throws across his body. Foul ball, third base side, keeps the count full on Carter. Carter snapped a 42 at bat homerless streak with his long ball yesterday.
Did a good job hitting that changeup. That 3-2 count right there. Maybe get the fastball right here.
He gets ball 4. That's his 52nd walk of the year and the 2nd walk of the game by Nuno. That's the thing about Carter. Some players will be over anxious if they haven't been playing a lot. They just hit a home run yesterday to swing at a 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, it's a good sign when CC's taking ball 4, not expanding that zone that we keep talking about, because we know he's susceptible of chasing pitches on that outside corner. Hopefully this means the tide might be turning a little bit, and if Chris Carter's back and get going with that thump that he has, my goodness.
And Conger looks at strike 1. Conger, a .212 hitter, has 8 homers, 21 runs batted in. Switch hitting catcher is hitting 149 as a right-handed batter in 74 at bats. It's 1-1. The Astros have won 10 and split 2 of their last 12 series at home. Two balls and a strike. Well, they provided some electric moments on that last homestand, especially with the sweep of the Dodgers at the end of it. In for a strike. And they wound up going 7-3 on that last 10-game homestand with 4 walk-off wins.
It's either really exciting or tough on the heart.
Yeah. Ground ball there. Seager to his left. On to Cano. Cano gets it on to Trumbo for a 5-4-3 twin killing. And after 2, it's 1-1.
Major League lineup. The 40-year-old left fielder gets a hit in his first at-bat with the Mariners, and Junior follows up with a single of his own. A month later, the father-son duo hit back-to-back home runs. Some kind of special right there. He's out there in, is that L.A. or Anaheim?
It's Anaheim.
Pretty incredible stuff. He said, oh yeah, Dad, you went deep. I can do the same thing.
Special time in Mariners history. Now Brad Miller swings at the first pitch from Keuchel, pops it up. Hank Conger behind the dish. One pitch, one out here in the third inning of a 1-1 game. Jesus Sucre will follow. Mariners hope for more times like that when they put this team together after last year's club looked pretty good at the end of the season. They thought they could build on that. They were 87-75 last year, which had been a 16-game improvement over the previous year. And it just has not clicked for them. Sucre around a bunt, looks at ball one. 116, one homer, 4 runs batted in for Sucre. He's had 69 major league at bats this year. Two 2-0 from Dallas Keuchel. Mariners 20-22 since the All-Star break. They've just been unable to make a move in this AL West. 2 balls and a strike. Now they're looking for a general manager after dismissing Jack Sarincic. So a lot of things are up for questioning about next year's club now. Line Correa with the catch. 2 outs. A little juggle maybe.
It's going to be interesting times to see what happens up there in Seattle over the offseason. Another softly hit line drive, not exactly a laser hit out there to Carlos. Kind of redirected it into the leather.
Yeah, he did. Kept his glove under it though. Marte showing bunt, takes a strike. Well, who's the manager going to be? First of all, they need to put a general manager in place, and evidently they'd like to do that by the end of the season. Usually the GM selects the manager and would decide whether to bring back Lloyd McClendon or not. No balls, 2 strikes.
But that definitely will be a decision that will be talked about.
Jake Arrieta came up with a beauty last night. A no-hitter for the Chicago Cubs, winning his 17th.
I thought you were going to talk about his mustache pajamas.
Oh yeah, those two.
Poor kid.
That was one unusual evening. Let's go put on the pajamas, the onesies for travel back to Chicago. That's what the skipper Joe Madden had everybody do on the club.
Congratulations, your first no-hitter. Now go put on some PJs and do your press conference.
First guy ever to do that, no doubt. Just another first in Major League Baseball. Still wanted 2. Boy, he had powerful stuff, didn't he?
Oh, it was ridiculous. Yeah, he manhandled the Dodgers. And how about the Dodgers? 2 no-hitters in 9 days. Ouch. And they're probably going to go to the playoffs. How often does that happen?
Yeah, they'll shake that off. Somebody came out with a stat today about the 1917 White Sox. They were no hit in back-to-back games, and I think they won the World Series that year. So they'll shrug it off and move on.
So it's good luck.
It might be. Wouldn't seem so, would it?
No. Yeah, I'm not going to go out there bragging about that. Guys, we got no hit twice. We got a chance.
In the dirt, and it's 2-2 for Dallas Keuchel. We mentioned the homer by Trumbo was the first he had allowed at home. It was the 10th he's allowed all season. 189 innings for Keuchel so far. He's second in innings pitched in the American League.
40% of those home runs against these Mariners.
He gets a lunging swing from Marte and winds up a strikeout. Number 4. It's 1-1 in the third.
Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 devices with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
A Monday night crowd watching a 1-1 ball game. We go to the bottom of the third. Jake Marisnick, the number 9 hitter, leads it off. 232 for Jake, 6 homers, 25 runs batted in. He looks at it, and it's ball 1 with Mark Trumbo, the first baseman, in close. What do we have there? A little ice cream. 2-0 to Marisnick. Seager also has moved in at third base because of Marisnick's bunting ability. Now it's in for a strike, and it's 2-1 to Jake. Altuve on deck. Marwin Gonzalez up third. 2-2. The other principals in the American League West race are playing later tonight. Rangers and the Angels. Not each other, though. The Angels are at Oakland, and the Rangers are in San Diego. That hit him. Like the left leg, and that is a painful experience right now for Jake Marisnick.
Yeah, a guy who relies on his wheels. Slider down and in. Caught that lead ankle, buckled him.
Does it seem to you that the Astros have been getting drilled quite a bit lately?
Yes.
It's going to require a little bit of time. Meanwhile, our AT&T Rewind shows us the hot-hitting Altuve in the month of August. He is rolling, Blummer.
No, this kid's getting it done. What a good time to get it going, too. Those 27 games in August, you see the numbers are pretty incredible. And he's doing it with some pop, too. Home run. 11 bombs, 54 RBIs out of your leadoff spot. Said Altuve's still not the leader of this ball club. You got some big names and superstars and young kids coming up behind him, but again, captain consistency right there. Jose Altuve, leader of the pack still for the Houston Astros.
That's good, captain consistency.
He is. I mean, I've seen a lot of good hitters over the years. This guy is right up there. It's amazing how well he gets it done. There'll be some, and it's funny we talk about him scuffling sometimes at 290, 295, but he continues to just get enough knocks and jump right back into the mix.
He's been on base in 27 consecutive games. That's a career high for him. Every game this month with a 403 on base average. First time up, though, he popped short. That's his second longest active on base streak in the majors, behind Edwin Encarnacion's 30. And it's the longest streak by an Astros player since Michael Bourne reached base in 28 consecutive games at the end of 2010 and the beginning of 2011. Altuve can tie that tonight. Throw goes over on Marisnick. Marisnick has 17 steals in 23 tries. Whether he would run after being hit in that left ankle area is up to question. Off the end of the bat, it goes back into the seats. It's got to be hurting the way that caught bone in his lower leg. That could be affecting his plans.
I'm sure it is. I like how he's kind of over there dancing around like, oh, it hurts, and then he's going to take off like a bolt of lightning here pretty quick. Got to set those pitchers up.
1-1. Well, you bring up a good point. That's been done a few times down through the years by base stealers. They'll use every technique they can think of.
Oh, believe it.
He goes. You saw that coming.
Good for Jake. That'll loosen it up, too.
Astros are the stolen base leading team in the American League with 98. They've been caught 39 times. Mariners' opponents have been successful only 63% of the time this year. That's second in the American League. Broken bat looper. Cano can't get it. Marisnick is going to go to third without a throw. Great move by Marisnick, and it's first and third, nobody out. On a ball that barely got out of the infield. Altuve with a 6-game hitting streak has reached in 28 straight.
Congratulations, Altuve. He does it when he barrels it up. He does it when he gets jammed. Fastball up and in. Just fights it off. We know he's going to swing at everything. But the placement was crucial. But how about Jake Marisnick? What Jake did is something you can't teach. It's that intuitiveness that he has of where the ball is going to hit, knowing the right fielder, and also understanding his speed at the same time.
Fantastic base running. Now Marwin Gonzalez has first and third, nobody out. Marwin drew a walk, scored a run in the first inning on the Gaddis sacrifice fly. Showing bunt, taking ball one.
Yep, Brown showing bunt. We've seen this situation a lot. First and third, less than 2 outs. A guy at the home plate who can handle the bat. Push that bunt towards first base. Usually a great opportunity for that runner at third to score easy.
As a right-handed batter, Marwin has hit .288 in 104 at-bats this year. In the dirt. 2-0. That play has worked well, as you indicated, for the Astros in this type of situation. But a chance to go for a big inning here too. And the way Marwin has been hitting, he can drive the ball for extra bases. Altuve also could choose to run here.
Kinds of options. I agree with you. Marwin showing that bunt on the first pitch, takes it for a ball, and now has himself in that count where he can look for a pitch to drive like you're talking about.
10 for his last 23. Bouncer third. Seager will throw home. Marisnick's in a rundown. Sucre with the tag. One out. Runners at first and second. Five to 2 play as Seager got it to the catcher Sucre, and Marwin reaches on the fielder's choice.
It's a good play by Seager. Really no place else to go unless he planted his foot and tried to get Marwin at first, but then he would have given up the run. Here he takes a chance and it works out well.
That's not the throwing angle you would choose if you were a third baseman. He threw right over the runner. Good play by Seager. Didn't really have a lane for throwing that didn't involve coming close to the base runner. Correa single to right field first time up. Carlos looks at strike one. When he was out this afternoon in the outfield, training staff set up some cones for him to run to. He was doing some sprints. He was simulating base running, first to second, side to side, and then turning and running quickly. And he passed all those. No balls, 2 strikes. It's a big decision in a pennant race with an injury like that to your number 3 hitter.
Yeah, your number 3 hitter and your shortstop. He's not playing one of those positions like third where you just sit down and knock it down, throw him out. So he's in a position where he's going to make a lot of quick movements throughout the game. But it was an executive decision, and I'm not sure if you've mentioned it yet, but you had a good quote from the managers that you've talked to in the past that if a guy says he's ready to go, the manager will wait 1 extra day.
Yeah, and that's what AJ does. So he said yes. Carlos told me yesterday he was ready to play, so we waited 1 more day, did the testing, and he passed. And that's what they call the protocol now, the battery of tests. He has to pass each one or the training staff will not clear him to play.
And he can go out there and run around all the cones he wants. It turns into a psychological test too when you ask the guy, how do you feel? You want to get that honest answer in return.
Nuno steps off and Altuve back to second base. Usually it's easier for a base stealer to steal third with a left-handed pitcher on the mound.
Got a big hitter in Carlos, right-handed hitter in Carlos Correa, so the third baseman's playing deep too.
Correa punches that one foul. And you know, you might wonder too, he's been idled now. He sat out the last 4 games. There was an off day there as well, so 5 days. But AJ said he has swung a bat the whole time. He's been doing everything he could do to stay game active.
Well, we heard the story about when he had that leg issue last year. He took the time not sitting on the couch or playing video games. He set up a tee and started hitting in the cage, tried to figure out how to fight off that pitch on the inside corner.
That's dedication.
No, I think everything is right about Carlos Correa. He's borderline perfect.
Strikeout for out number 2. Strikeout number 1 for Nuno. Evan Gattis comes up. Last time Nuno faced the Astros, it was June 21st, and he gave up a homer to George Springer. By the way, Springer grounded out his first time up tonight for Corpus Christi, according to our correspondent on Twitter.
It's good to have those. You got people working for you everywhere, huh?
We have embedded correspondents all over the place. You were one for a while there.
Yeah.
You might not have known it.
It's out there in Los Angeles or Anaheim doing some scouting on the Angels.
Well, they have really had their problems all month long. Yesterday, 2 fly balls lost in the sun in Cleveland, dropping.
Oh, and Jared Weaver on the mound. Some clubhouse stabilization issues.
Mike Trout lost one, and then Cole Calhoun lost another one.
Same hitter.
Was it?
I think it was Carlos Santana was the recipient of both of those.
Okay. Interesting. Altuve and Gonzalez waiting. Gattis looks at one in the dirt, and it's 2-0 to Evan. Evan's a .275 career hitter against Seattle with 6 homers, 16 runs batted in. The Astros have had their struggles offensively during this last stretch of games. Altuve takes off. He'll make it without a play to third base. Strike call makes it 2-1. Altuve gets his 35th steal. It appears the Mariners had predetermined they would not try to defend against the stolen base in that situation with 2 outs.
I was curious to see Marwin not go on that. Usually as the trail runner, knowing you've got a burner at second, you try and trail him.
Ground ball third. Seager throwing to second to Cano for the force on Gonzalez. No runs, 1 hit. And for the Astros, it was first and third, nobody out, and they failed to score. It's tied at 1.
It's time to play Name That Astro, and it's brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Here are your clues for the day. He allowed a famous home run. His cousin was a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was better than his cousin and the Babe in the World Series in a particular stat. That's all I'm going to give you. I'm going to stop there before I give something away.
That's it?
That's all. That's all you get.
Oh, that is.
You got to tweet us your guesses, everybody.
Good luck. Kyle Seager leads it off in the 4th inning. It's 1-1. One hit for the Mariners, a Trumbo second inning homer. 2 hits for the Astros. Seager takes it, and it's strike one. He struck out in the first inning. Do we get a look at your new baseball shoes anytime soon, Julia, with the ones that are off-white with the red stitching on them?
I couldn't show them off, yes.
Didn't you tweet out a picture of them?
I did.
Are they uncomfortable?
No.
Well, then we gotta.
I know how to walk in heels now. I've had lots of
Congratulations!
Now,
all that off-season training paid off.
You just learned on this road trip, or what?
This has taken years, guys. Years of practice.
I don't know how you guys do that. 2 balls and a strike. That's an amazing sense of balance required to walk in high heels today, Blummer.
I'm going to take your word for it. Yeah, I don't know how they do that either. I appreciate the fact that they do, though.
2 balls, 2 strikes. You mean you haven't tried it?
No. Okay. It's tough finding anything in my size.
Dexter Fowler has homered for the Cubs in the third. His second hit of the game, 1-0 Cubs over the Reds in the third inning. Out to left center field as it goes through. Seager fought it off and wound up with a single. Leadoff hit here in the fourth inning for the Mariners. And number 2 for them, and he's aboard for Cruz. Last pitcher to have an ERA at home lower than the one Keuchel brought into this game was Nolan Ryan for the 1972 California Angels, 1.07. But the Mariners come out here in the fourth inning. Seager hits his way aboard, and now Cruz, who grounded to shortstop, is the batter and takes strike one. Well, with Fowler, the Cubs center fielder, until now, they just traded today for Austin Jackson. It's going to be interesting to see what becomes of Dexter Fowler in that Cubs lineup.
Well, Austin Jackson, a primary right-handed hitter. Maybe it turns into a platoon possibility.
Could very well be. 1 ball, 1 strike. Austin Jackson gives the Cubs a very hot hitter. He was traded today on a 9-game hitting streak, having gone 16 for 34. And he was traded for a player to be named later and international slot money. So the Mariners get nobody immediately who can help them. 2 balls and a strike. And the Cubs get somebody who could help them a lot if they make it to postseason play. And they're looking pretty strong for that right now, aren't they? 74-55 is their record.
And it looks like they're trying to lock down that wild card because the Cardinals just keep running away with it.
3-1. Well, one thing that's going to be difficult for Washington to do is be the wild card team. And Washington is playing St. Louis. The Nationals are only 3 games above 500. They are 8 games out of the second wild card spot, being held down by the Cubs. Giants are 5.5 out of that. And the Giants will be playing the Dodgers this week. There's a walk to Cruz. Now first and second, nobody out for Cano. First walk for Keuchel. So it's a rarity for Dallas. Keuchel gave up a homer in the second and a walk in the fourth. Both of those don't happen very often for Dallas. Cano grounded back to Dallas in the second inning.
On the bright side, Dallas Keuchel gets about 65% of his outs on ground balls, and now would be a very good time for one because it'd be a possibility for a double play.
Strike to Cano. Cano signed a 10-year, $240 million contract to join Seattle. Last year he hit 14 homers. That's what he has right now, and he drove in 82 runs. That was his first year with Seattle. Fouls that one back, 0-2. So the Mariners, after making that improvement, targeted Cano, and he's 32 years old now. It's somewhat similar to the Angels signing a few years ago of Albert Pujols, who was 31 at the time. There is some urgency in the mind of the management of the team when committing those types of dollars to a 31-year-old player to try to get to a World Series fairly quickly before he turns into a 38-year-old player.
Yep. Get them through their prime.
It's 1-2.
I agree with you on the urgency when you sign these big-time players to these big-time contracts. They expect that to be an immediate effect of bringing these guys in. Sometimes you dedicate so much money to one or two players, it's tough to string together a team.
Cano fouls that one. Conger hurt a little bit on that. He backpedals out of there. Still a 1-ball, 2-strike count. A.J. Hinch was asked today in his media session if he plans to bring up another catcher. Max Stassi has already arrived on the scene, as you know, this weekend. Run on the right foot. Well, that's not the plan as of now. Jason Castro, as you know, is on the 15-day disabled list. But with Stassi being here now, Evan Gattis would serve as the emergency catcher if anything did arise in a given game, and then another catcher could be added by that next game. 2-2.
And from the sound of it, I don't think they've completely written off Jason Castro's year. I think they want to reassess maybe on that next road trip how he's doing. And if there might be a possibility of getting him back in that lineup, which would be astonishing to me because the way he came out of that game, I thought he was done for the year.
In the dirt, Conger blocks it, and it's 3-2 now to Cano. Big pitch coming for Keuchel. Well, the difficulty, of course, is the catcher doing all the squats, and this is high up on the right leg.
So true. And that's what he was doing so effectively, was the catch and throw. We talked about how well he's thrown base runners out, and he's such an effective weapon behind home plate.
Cano hits into right field. Seager stopped at third base. And the throw comes in near the plate from Jake Marisnick. The bases are loaded with nobody out on a Cano single. The base coach Rich Donnelly had already stopped Seager.
It was a great at bat by Cano. He got into that 1-2 count. Keuchel tried to fish around the edges, but he was unable to get Cano, who's obviously a veteran hitter. He wasn't biting at any of that. Got him to a 3-2 count where Keuchel was forced to throw a strike. Do not want to walk the bases loaded. Instead gives up the base hit to load him up.
Gutierrez grounded back to Keuchel in the second inning. Trumbo, who homered in the second, is on deck. Gutierrez has 2 grand slams and a .232 career average. And these bases loaded at bats. In the dirt, ball 1. Gutierrez is from Caracas, Venezuela. Began his career with the Dodgers. Then he was traded to Cleveland. Seattle got him in a deal after the 08 season. He won a Gold Glove in 2010 and drove in 64 that year. Now it's 2-0.
Big pitch right here.
Very, very important for Dallas to get something at least close enough for Gutierrez to offer at as Brent Strom paces in the dugout. Big cut, and it's 2-1.
Keuchel making pitches when he needs to. 2-0 count. You know it's going to be a big swing, especially in this ballpark. Gutierrez pulling off that fastball in the outside corner. Still some good late sink on that pitch. Not done yet.
This one goes foul. 2-2.
Good job of working himself back into this count. Conger wants to make real sure they're on the same page right here. about committal, too. Sometimes pitchers will get a sign from a catcher and say, okay, that's a good idea, but they're not completely sold on it, end up hanging it. But it seems like when Keuchel gets a sign or gets his mind set on a pitch, he does a great job of following through and executing it.
Full count. Gutierrez has 8 walks so far this year. 118 at bats. Pretty aggressive hitter. Red Sox lead the Yankees in Boston. It's 3-2 in the middle of the 6th inning. Broken bat. Keuchel to Conger. Conger to Carter. 1, 2, 3, double play.
Just how you drew it up, Brownie.
Well, how about the broken bat? That wasn't what we drew up, because that complicates things for the pitcher, right?
Oh, yeah, you got things flying at you, but laser focus of Dallas Keuchel. See another good pitch. That outside corner off the end of the bat, all of a sudden it turns into shrapnel flying everywhere. You got to make a play on a ground ball to save your ERA and the game. Great play on both ends. You got to give a lot of credit to Hank Conger too, making sure that foot's on home plate, get the reception, and make a strong throw to first.
Now a meeting at the mound. Brent Strom out. First base open. Trumbo homered in the 2nd inning. So it might be a choice here for Dallas Keuchel. Would he prefer not to work to Trumbo? Meanwhile, we have a guess at Brad Lidge.
That's not nice. Saying it hasn't landed yet.
Although there was that Brad Ausmus remark on the airplane on the way to St. Louis after that home run.
That's all Brad, by the way. I would expect nothing less out of him.
Out the left window of the plane is that home run ball. Trumbo takes strike 1. He homered to right in the 2nd inning, and Keuchel, we're guessing. The discussion was, do you want to pitch to Trumbo or not? He's going after him.
All those Twitter answers were wrong, by the way.
Trumbo swings and fouls it, and it's 0-2.
We talk about adjustments all the time, and you can see from at bat to at bat, hitter to hitter, what Keuchel is doing. That first at bat, Trumbo took a fastball away, handed it out the other way, and Keuchel said, I'm not going to let this guy get extended on this AB. Now he's got him 0-2 on 2 pitches inside.
In Keuchel's corner, they're standing. It bounces and Conger blocks it.
Good job by Hank.
Trumbo is now 6 for 11 lifetime against Dallas Keuchel. Last year he hit 14 long balls for Arizona, but he's had big seasons. He had 34 homers for the Angels in 2013 after hitting 32 the year before and 29 the year before that. He reaches and strikes out. Good choice by Dallas Keuchel, and it leads to strikeout number 5. Bases loaded, nobody out. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left in scoring position. It's still 1-1.
New to Houston and looking to get to know the city better? With our Welcome to Houston package, we invite you to tour Minute Maid Park and enjoy an Astros game this Saturday. For tickets, visit astros.com/welcome to Houston or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Prior to tonight's game, Astros presented Mike Fiers with some pretty cool stuff. It was a shadow box with a lot of things like the lineup, or like the lineup card and the game ticket, and the ball that he got the last out in his first career no-hitter, first career complete game. This is the first time the Astros have been back since that magical weekend, really, with Mike Fiers no-hitter, and then of course the sweep of the Dodgers. But Fiers continues to be very humble and very he's still enjoying all kinds of moments that he's having from that very special night, guys.
Carlos Gomez showing bunt, takes a strike. That evens the count at 1-1. Nuno on the mound in a 1-1 game. Gomez hit a fly ball to right first time up. That's out of play, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Yeah, I thought what they did for Mike Fiers before the game was a pretty special thing.
This one goes to right field. Nelson Cruz. 1 out. All right, let's take a look at these specialized shoes.
They are special.
Yes. Oh, these are the Julia Morales.
I have them on my feet right now, so I can't exactly show you, but there they are. They have the stitching and everything. It's great.
Were those custom made for you?
Yes.
Basamore.com is where this guy makes them. It's incredible.
That is incredible.
They just showed up at the ballpark for me.
Could you be wearing those on a particular special day later in the year?
Maybe.
Not a bad idea.
You think they'd go with that dress?
I'd have to see the dress to be sure.
Jed Lowry to the right field corner. Lowry has hit it. What a way to snap an 0 for 28. A go-ahead homer in the 4th by Lowry. Number 6 of the year.
Well, as Mars Blackman said to Michael Jordan, it's got to be the shoes.
Lowry is now 6 for 9 against Seattle pitching this year, and that is a way to come out of it.
Man, that is some kind of special for Jed Lowry. Sometimes you like to yank one and get all of it, but right here, how about going the other way? Putting some faith back in those hands.
Bruce Carter was strike 1. Carter drew a walk. That had to feel so good for Jed Lowry after what he's been through. Opposite field, too. No balls, 2 strikes. That's the Astros' 28th long ball against Seattle pitching this season. This is their 14th game. 1-2 the count. Lowry stung a couple of balls on Saturday night at Minnesota. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The ball he hit his last time up was a line drive to shortstop, really drilled, but this one was out there where nobody can make a play on. Carter's down on strikes. That's punch out number 2 for Nuno.
Let's take a look at Jed and then bomb. See, that might have even been a changeup too. So that means Jed had to put a little bit of his own extra pop behind that. Sometimes you can redirect a fastball and use what the pitcher gives you, but a changeup going the other way is a good piece of hitting.
48 at-bats between homers for Lowry. His last long ball came August 12th at San Francisco. There's a drive by Conger, and that will make it 3-1. Number 9 for Conger.
Better watch out, Bobby Dynamite up there on the train.
That's Conger's first long ball since August 1st. He had gone 32 at-bats.
Ooh-wee. Watch the location on this one. Go up and get you some, Hank Conger. My goodness, that ball was annihilated. Watch out, Train.
Jake Marisnik fouls it. There's strike 1. gets the crowd stirred up here at Minute Maid Park.
You know what I think is fantastic is Dallas Keuchel got out of that bases loaded jam, battled his tail off, and now the offense comes up, backs him up with 2 bombs.
Seager throws out Marisnick, and the Astros get a home run from Lowry and another from Conger, and they break the tie and take a 3-1 lead through 4.
McClendon, the Mariners skipper, at the All-Star game, he was explaining his comments about Dallas Keuchel having average stuff. He said, I likened him to Tom Glavine. I said he's a good pitcher that had average stuff. Tom Glavine had average stuff. He's a Hall of Famer. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the kid, what he accomplished last year and what he accomplished this year. But when I say average stuff, he doesn't have overpowering stuff. As I remember when this quote came out from McClendon last year, it caught the Astros off guard really at the time because they knew how special Dallas, or the year that he was having at the time, but definitely coming back to explain himself as they met at the All-Star game.
Now 3-1 lead for Dallas Keuchel, shooting for win number 16 of the year with average stuff. And there is strike 1.
So velocity determines whether or not you're average?
Well, yeah, that requires some explanation, doesn't it?
He just keeps digging that hole.
Yeah. Montero struck out, hits a lazy fly ball. Marisnick with the catch. 1 down.
At some point, you just need to come out and say the guy is unbelievable. I think he's the best pitcher I've ever seen. Just move on.
He's made 7 career starts against the Mariners. He's gone at least 6 innings in all 7. 5 of them quality starts. So whatever kind of stuff you would describe it as, it's been effective against the Seattle club. Brad Miller fouled out to the catcher earlier. There's strike 1. But, you know, here's the thing. The action that he has on his pitches is well above average. When you're talking about a batting average of .212 against, a whip, walks and hits per innings pitched of 1.00. That is an uncommonly good pitcher.
Absolutely. And yeah, his stuff has such good late movement, and his ability to command those pitches is what makes him way above average.
A hit through the middle. Miller's on with a 1-out single. Hit number 4.
And the contact numbers off Keuchel too, the soft hits, he doesn't really get barreled up too often.
Exactly. You'd think you were at a Bee Gees concert every night he's pitching, because it's just soft hit after soft hit. But Sucre will be next. Sucre lined to shortstop in the 3rd inning.
I hope that my wife is DVRing this, because I'm going to get a copy of this game just for that quote you gave me right there.
She doesn't do that.
That is awesome.
Runner going, swing and a miss. Conger with the throw to Altuve. He got him. So Conger, who was 1 for 31 and throwing out attempted base stealers, guns down Miller, who had been 11 for 13.
Did that just happen?
It did happen. We have it on DVR.
Miller's walking off the field, and obviously the Mariners coaching staff is going to listen to their video replay guys, but a pretty good catch and release on Hank Conger's part, who's feeling pretty good after that homer he just hit.
They're going to challenge this.
Fingertips get in there?
Maybe. Ted Barrett made the out call at second base, but maybe not. So Ted Barrett closer to you there. And Angel Hernandez, the home plate umpire, and the crew chief get on the headsets, and they will take a look at this. Let's see. What do you think?
It's tough to simultaneously look at the fingertips and the tag, because I mean, it almost to me looked like they were in there at the same time. But again, it's enough to turn it over.
Yeah, that's why being an umpire is not that easy. If we can't tell on a replay, it's slowed down.
I'm still trying to drink in the Bee Gees comment.
Well, you know what? This is a good head first slide. Not a big fan of head first, but that's well done by Miller. He stayed low. He stayed low, and he was quick with it. And he got his hand to the bag quickly.
Again, a worthwhile time to challenge, because the runner will be in scoring position if he is declared safe.
Absolutely. And you talked about it earlier. There's been such a momentum shift in this game from the top of the fourth. Bases loaded, nobody out. Then the Astros get 2 homers in the bottom of the fourth. So now Lloyd McClendon's trying to cash in on this opportunity to keep his base runner and get him into scoring position. And he is ruled safe. The call is overturned, so Conger does not get his second of the year. Instead, it's a steal by Miller, his 12th.
What that does, too, is extend the pitch count for Dallas Keuchel.
Pitch was strike one to Sucre. 1 minute 29 seconds on the replay review. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count now to Jesus Sucre. Keuchel has the club record for going 6 innings in 37 consecutive starts. That's the longest active streak in the majors as well. 2-2. We talk about stuff, you know, if a manager wants to say 98-mile-per-hour fastball and other secondary pitches is great stuff. That's a matter of definition. But Dallas is just a bulldog in terms of staying in for at least 6 innings. And of course, he has 3 complete games, a couple of complete game shutouts this year as well. So piling up the innings, and they're just a flawless fielder. Two balls, 2 strikes to Sucre. So if he doesn't throw 98, he certainly does other things that pitchers don't usually do.
Good look at that slider breaking out in front of home plate. He knows exactly where to place these pitches also to get these hitters to think they have a chance of hitting, and by the time they swing, they're nowhere near it.
Exactly. Inside, 3-2. He uses all parts of the strike zone.
We were talking about the innings. He's 10 innings away from being at 200 for back-to-back seasons, too. No, there's 3 or 4 guys on this Astros roster right now that if you could clone them or just rebuild around guys like them, you're going to have a strong team.
Swing and a miss. Sucre is down on strikes. That's number 6. Between the soft ground balls and the strikeouts, and there was a home run earlier, but Dallas just does not allow a lot of extra base hits.
Get an idea of how effective he can be and how good that changeup is. That is not a good location. It's even off the plate, but even with that run up in the zone, it looks like hittable. Just can't get to it.
Marte takes. That's a backdoor slider. Strike one.
Nasty.
Yeah, and he just has command of everything so well. Only 42 walks this year, and he's close to 190 innings now. He does not make mistakes too often. 0-2. So he limits the walks. He limits the homers. The strikeouts are still at a very good clip for Dallas. gets double play balls. There's a lot to like about Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, we could go on and on. Ground ball ratios. I mean, and all the off the field stuff that we don't have the chance to see. His preparation is mind-boggling to me too. Just a perfectionist out there.
1 ball and 2 strikes. We talk all the time about Dallas, and Colin McHugh for that matter, and the in-game adjustments that they make. And when you've got the bases loaded, nobody out, that's a good time to figure out what's going on and how to get a ground ball for a double play. And he did it.
And look at the team he did it against too. The Seattle Mariners have been swinging really strong bats since the All-Star break.
2-2 now to Marte with Seager on deck. This one gets away from Conger, and that will mean advancement to third for Miller. A wild pitch. Full count now. He gets a strikeout. That's number 7. A runner stranded at third base. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. The Astros and Dallas Keuchel lead the Mariners 3-1 in the 5th. Book your low fare now at Southwest.com. The Astros lead at 3-1 over Seattle. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning here at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Game 1 of a 6-game homestand. Alan Ashby will be back with us Friday night. We had a question on Twitter about Ash. He just got a little time off, that's all. Jose Altuve is 1 for 2. Shortening up on it, Altuve brings in the corner infielders, and it's ball 1. And nice to have Blummer working a home series for a change while Ash gets some time off. You don't get to come in very often. We've had all this excitement at home lately.
Not often enough, but I've been around to watch Jose Altuve spray the ball all over the yard. He just got a hit going the other way today, but yanking a lot of those pitches. Last year when he hit 341, we put up some spray charts, and he did a good job of pulling the baseball. But I think in previous years he was going the other way so well they started to try and challenge him. He was up to it.
He taps the breaking pitch. Well, the hits have gone. 22 to left, 13 to center, 7 to right. That's not as many hits to the pull side actually as he had done earlier this year.
Exactly. This one dropped shallow center field earlier.
This one gets through. second hit of the night for Altuve. That's 160 hits this season for the American League leader.
So good. Try and move your infielders all over the place, trying to figure out where you're going to anticipate Altuve hitting it. You just can't do it. He's going to find the hole no matter what. Professional hitter.
Hit that ankle high pitch. He hit it hard. He had his first 4-hit game of the season yesterday. Now 2 more so far tonight. And it's Marwin Gonzalez with a walk, and he reached on a fielder's choice. There's strike one. Altuve has hit .402 since August 6th. He checks in at .365 for the month of August before his 2-for-3 night tonight. He is on an absolute tear. And he stole a base back in the 3rd inning. That was his 35th of the year. The major league leader in hits coming into tonight was D. Gordon of Miami with 161. Altuve's now at 160. Pitch out. Altuve's not moving. It's 1-1. There's Gordon, Altuve before today's games, Kinsler, Cruz, and Pollock. And also before tonight, last year and this year combined, Altuve had 383 hits. That was 37 more than the number 2 man.
D. Gordon had 150 of those hits in the first half, didn't he?
It seemed that way, didn't it? He was off to the races. Now he slowed down. There are all kinds of examples that would prove this statement wrong. But D. Gordon is very thin. And people were speculating when he was piling up those hits the first half of the season, oh, he'll wear down in the second half of the year.
It's a good point. People talk about that all the time. You got to be extremely strong to be able to withstand a 162 game season, especially at the pace he was on.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Boston leading the Yankees 3-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th at Fenway. Eduardo Rodriguez started. He went 5 for the Red Sox. Ivan Nova is on the mound for the Yankees. The Astros did a number on him his last time out, but Big Papi has hit his 29th homer tonight. David Ortiz and Mookie Betts, number 13. That's out to center field. Miller backing on it, way back, and he makes the catch just shy of the warning track in dead center field. Well hit ball by Marwin, 1 out.
Our TXU Energy Power player is Carlos Correa, and some of his slugging numbers. You know the kid can crush. That's why he's in this city. But the young man has power all over the field. That 6'4" frame creates all kinds of leverage, but that swing to go along with it is so pure. You make mistakes, he's going to get you. That was a big home run in Oakland. He's gotten a lot of home runs in tie ball games, put the Astros ahead. Huge piece of this lineup.
1 for 2 tonight in his return to the lineup. And there's ball 1. Garcia Parra, highest slugging by a rookie shortstop. 1997, 534 for Boston. Juan Uribe with Colorado, and Carlos Correa is at 510 right now. One ball, 1 strike.
Just missed slugging that one out of here.
Correa hits one high to left center field. Way back for Correa. And that one is going to go for Carlos Correa. 2-run shot. Number 16. 5-1 Astros as Correa delivers, giving him 45 runs batted in.
Gonna have to adjust those slugging graphics. Are you kidding me with this kid? Man, this guy's some kind of special. He missed that pitch before. Didn't let it get to him. Took it as a strike. Now he comes back and absolutely pummels that baseball. And I'll tell you what, that train has taken a beating tonight.
Wow. That is impressive. The left center field that high in this ballpark. Now Evan Gattis with a furious swing and fouls it for strike one. That's a return to the lineup for Correa.
He's 20.
Going to be a 20 home run soon too. 16 homers, 45 runs batted in. Seager with a grounder throws out Gattis, 2 outs.
Just sit back and enjoy this one. Yeah, come to the house. You better make darn sure if you set up inside, you get it inside. Because for me, we talked about how Correa felt that was one of his weaknesses last year, and that it was just absolutely pure, beautiful contact. We've seen teams try and challenge him in there, and there is no way to get him out on that inside corner.
Carlos Gomez looks at ball one. He's 0 for 2. This crowd is really stirred up now by the home run display. 3 tonight for the Astros. 2-0. They've hit 104 home runs at home this season. 179 overall. Right fielder Cruz comes over toward the line. And Carlos Correa with the 2-run shot has returned to the lineup tonight after missing 4 games. And he's gone 2 for 3, helping the Astros to a 5-1 lead after 5.
In the top of the 6th, and the force is arriving in Houston this Sunday as Minute Maid Park transforms into the world of Star Wars. Come dressed as your favorite character and watch as the Astros take on the Twins at 1:10 p.m. All fans with a Star Wars ticket will receive an Orbit One Kenobi bobblehead. For more information, visit astros.com/Star Wars or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
A 5-1 ball game. Dallas Keuchel going to work in the 6th inning. Kyle Seager hits it to left. Marlon Gonzalez back along the warning track. That's why the Astros don't worry about Marlon playing left field. And he hasn't played there much, but he just gives the coaching staff so much confidence he can make plays.
It's a pretty athletic play right there. Spun him around a little bit, but yeah, like you said, really no worries. You know he's going to go out there and give it his best effort, and he's got the athleticism to move all over the place.
Point being, once you get spun around, that could be panic time for some guys who haven't played out there much, right?
Yep. No, it really can, because when you spin, you take your eye off the ball, but Marlon does a good job of spinning and picking it up.
Now Cruz, and there's a strike. Keuchel got him on a grounder in the first inning and walked him in the fourth. That's when the Mariners loaded the bases with no outs. 1-1 for Keuchel, shooting for win number 16 of the year. Flashed into left field. Cruz is aboard. The total base leader in the American League gets a one-out single. Robinson Cano will follow.
Yeah, give up all the base hits he wants. Nelson Cruz, no big deal.
Yeah, keeping him in the ballpark is a major objective.
Because he is going to get his hits.
Cano, as you pointed out, hitting behind Cruz this year. He is 1 for 2. That's ball 1 to Cano, whose father pitched briefly for the Astros back in, I believe, '89 or so. Jose Cano. And Jose pitched to Robinson in Home Run Derby at the All-Star game a few years ago.
There's that father-son tie. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. 2-0, and the runner advances on the pitch in the dirt. Cruz to second base on a wild pitch. Conger talks it over with his battery mate. We talked briefly about the catching situation earlier, and hopefully Castro will be able to come back. But Conger, of course, will do the lion's share of the catching. That's the plan. Max Stassi will be in the lineup tomorrow night with Scott Feldman pitching for Houston. In for a strike, 2-1. It wouldn't be surprising at all to see relief pitcher Josh Fields rejoining the Astros as a September 1st call-up tomorrow night. Preston Tucker, because he was optioned to the minor leagues, has to remain in the minors for 10 days, and he could come back September 2nd, which would be Wednesday. In for a strike, 2-2. A.J. Hinch doesn't feel he needs to call up a pitcher immediately other than Fields to be a long man in the bullpen. He thinks that's covered right now with Vince Velasquez, but the Astros are using 6 different starting pitchers. One of them may eventually become the long man, or it could rotate.
No, I think you hit it on the head. They've got guys in there that can rotate into that bullpen and create that long man, but at the same time, look at what their starting staff is doing. It's got to be something crazy in August where they've gone at least 7 innings, it seems like, each guy.
And with extra rest, which sometimes is not anything that starting pitchers prefer. They get used to the 4 days rest between starts, but this is extra rest for Dallas, and everybody has been on extra rest through the rotation. Last time he pitched was Tuesday. Lowry backhands, throws out Cano. 2 outs. 15 of 21 first pitch strikes for Dallas Keuchel. And he has that mentality. Go ahead and hit it on the first pitch. That's fine.
Yeah, you're just doing him a favor if you do that.
Gutierrez is 0 for 2. This was the biggest matchup of the game tonight. In the 4th inning, it was tied 1-1. Gutierrez at the plate, bases loaded, nobody out. A broken bat 1-2-3 double play. Strike 1 to Gutierrez. Keuchel continues to lead all major league pitchers in assists and all American League pitchers in total chances, and he has not made an error. Made all kinds of really good plays.
Sounds like more hardware going on the mantle for Dallas Keuchel at the end of this year.
0-2 on the big swing by Gutierrez. Do you foresee a Cy Young award?
Keeps going like this, I definitely do, and that would just go next to 2 Gold Gloves because he has a chance of picking up another one of those this year too. He's got to be the front runner.
Sonny Gray is the ERA leader, but Keuchel apparently on his way, if things work out, to win number 16 of the year. He would have to be the front runner.
League lead in wins. Top 2 in ERA. Racking up innings pitched.
2-2. He started the All-Star game.
Like you said, no slouch in the strikeout category either. 172 and 191 in the third innings.
And just the idea that when there's a big game, he would be the #1 guy for a lot of managers if they have their selection to win a big game for them.
And I think that start in the All-Star game, depending on how this season ends, is going to go a long way to experience for Dallas Keuchel on how to control his emotions and pitch with them.
Excellent point. 3-2 now to Gutierrez. Closing in on 100 pitches for Keuchel. He got him on strikes. That's number 8. And that is 38 consecutive starts with at least 6 innings for Dallas Keuchel, continuing to extend his own franchise record with a 5-1 lead in the 6th.
Baseball offers incredible savings such as the all-you-can-eat seats at Minute Maid Park. This great deal scores you a ticket and unlimited ballpark favorites every game starting at only $35. For more information, visit astros.com/value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Thanks, Julia. By the way, your shoes are coming in for more commentary. Jed Lowry leading it off, home 6th inning, ball 1. Lowry hit the first of 2 fourth-inning homers, and your shoes are being credited for those home runs, Julia.
My shoes are?
Yeah, the ones that
Magic
you showed
shoes.
us with the seams. Yeah, not the ones you're wearing tonight. The baseball shoes with the seams.
I had winning shoes last year too. The lime green ones, remember?
Do you? Oh yeah. Do you have win-loss records for every pair of shoes?
I'm gonna have to start keeping track.
All right, that could be an onerous chore. It's 2 balls and a strike. Lowry grounded out before hitting his home run, which snapped the 1-1 tie in the 4th inning. He hit it inside the right field line. 3-1. St. Louis leads Washington 3-2. They're in the bottom of the 6th. And for a strike, and it's 3-2. It's a tough series for the Nationals, trying to play catch up on the Mets by beating the St. Louis Cardinals, who are just running away from everybody again this year in the National League. That's fouled into the seats. Still 3-2 to Jed Lowry.
It's not fair when the Nationals are playing the Cardinals and the Mets are playing the Phillies. The Mets absolutely just destroy the Phillies. It's a tough times right now.
Out to right center field. Cruz on the run. Cruz onto the warning track. That's off the 373 sign. Another extra base hit for Lowry. A double for Jed, number 10.
What'd you say about the shoes?
Good night for Lowry.
Going the other way is Jed Lowry, too. Showing good pop. That timing starting to come back around. That hand hopefully feeling a little bit better, as evidenced by the balls. He is driving the other way.
Well, 3 homers for the Astros. Now a 4th extra base hit. Starts the inning with Carter following. And it's strike 1. Rob Rasmussen, a lefty, is warming up for Seattle. Carter has walked and struck out. It's 0-2. The Nationals just wrapped up a 9-game homestand. And they won all 3 series on that homestand, but St. Louis Cardinals at home, that's about as tough an assignment as you can get in Major League Baseball right now. Foul straight back, still 0-2 to Carter. John Lackey's on the mound for the Redbirds tonight, with Gio Gonzalez doing the twirling for the Nationals. Cardinals are 46-19 at home. Ground ball and off the glove of Seager into left field. Lowry to third, and Carter reaches. It looked as if Seager would be able to make that play moving to his left, but he did not.
I thought initially that Seager would have a chance at this. As well as Seager does play third base, got himself a gold glove, just kind of took his eye off that ball as he was reaching for it.
He drew his 13th error of the year. And now a golden opportunity for Hank Conger, who homered in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. First and third, nobody out. Conger with a smash. Seager looks at the runner at third, throwing to second, and then on to first. That is a fine play by Seager. The first thing he did was check Lowry, who was not going home. So then he went to second and started the 5-4-3 double play.
I agree. That was exactly what I was thinking. The ball was hit hard enough to where he had a chance to take a look at Jed Lowry at third base, and really Jed didn't have much time to react on that ground ball. I actually think he made a pretty good choice staying at third base.
It's one of those tough, quick decisions that have to be made. Now Marisnik pops it up. Cano comes over to his left. The Astros had a promising inning in the works. First and third, nobody out, but instead it's no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 left. After 6, they lead it 5-1.
And time for our progressive fan of the game. I'm with Hunter from Cypress, who's got his Keuchel jersey on. You've got to be loving what Dallas Keuchel is doing on the mound.
Yeah, it's a nice 8 strikeout, 1-run game. I mean, 6. Yes, ma'am.
Have you moved from your seat?
No. With all the home runs we've been hitting, it's been an exciting game today.
What about this year? You said to yourself you're a huge Astros fan. What has it been like for the fans this year?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome that they're winning. It's good for the city of Houston. You got the Rockets, their playoff team, Astros playoff team. Everything's going right now. So it's good to see them do well.
Thanks so much and enjoy the game.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hunter, our progressive fan of the game, Brownie.
Thanks, Julia. There's ball 1 in the 7th inning from Dallas Keuchel to Mark Trumbo, who homered to right in the 2nd, and he struck out in the 4th. The Astros got a first inning run, then Trumbo's homer tied it. Now it's 2-0 for Dallas Keuchel, making his 15th start at Minute Maid Park this year. That's in for a strike. 2-1. Danny Darwin, who was on one of our Who Am I questions. You see some changes. Marwin Gonzalez has come in from left field to play first base. Colby Rasmus is now in left field. Chris Carter leaving the game with the 5-1 lead. So Darwin, known as Dr. Death, set the club record for consecutive wins at home, 13, spanning 1989 and 1990. Keuchel can tie that with a win tonight. Fouled, and it's a 3-ball 2-strike count with Montero on deck. And also A.J. Hinch mentioned this is the last game in August. He said we'd like to have a winning record. Well, it would be 15-13 with a win tonight. This is the 5th consecutive month playing 500 or better baseball for the Astros. They haven't done that since 2001. Popped up. Marwin Gonzalez over to foul territory. 1 out. Even though the rosters can expand tomorrow night, the Astros really don't want to call up a lot of players who would be sitting around not utilized, Plummer.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough call for teams that are in first place. You know, what do you do? Who do you call up? You know, I think the call on Josh Fields is great because you can always use an extra arm in that bullpen. And Josh Fields was on this ball club earlier in the season, so he's got experience with these guys. But you don't want to just muddle it up with a bunch of bodies that kind of get in the way in September, because they're going to have a different program than those 25 guys that are out there right now competing for that pennant. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to get some of these guys who have potential to be in the big leagues for a while, kind of get them around that atmosphere of guys who are winning and learning how to win. But having played on teams that have been in playoffs, I kind of liked it when they only called up guys that were necessary, just because you really didn't want to mess with the continuity. And sometimes September call-ups, as nice as it is, can create a little havoc in the clubhouse and batting practice.
You don't get as many swings, right?
Yeah, they kind of cut into a lot of situations. You got to cut out some time for them in BP. Extra lockers moving around. You got to figure out where to configure them into that clubhouse situation. On the bench, there's more bodies. Just sometimes baseball players are so routine oriented, and when things are going good, you don't want to mess with that routine. And sometimes some excessive guys hanging around can create that.
Well, you've got this core group of 25.
Yes.
And that's really important in that clubhouse.
And the guys on the field would never say that publicly just because it might not be baseball PC.
Correa made an error. Tried to recover, and throw bounced over to Marwin, but he did not field that grounder cleanly, and it's his 8th error of the year.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you ask the guys in the clubhouse, they would say keep it as it is, but that's what happens right there when your feet get stuck. See how the heels are down? He's not up on his toes. That creates those firm hands. If you have your feet moving a little bit, get up on your toes, a little more give in those hands. He's human.
We haven't seen a lot of evidence of it.
That's a very good point.
Strike to Miller. Miller's 1 for 2. And, you know, too, from the standpoint of manager A.J. Hinch, he has this core group. And this group has been doing great unexpected things all season long. And it's a manager's tendency to go with the key players when they need to win. And they need to win a lot more games to get to where they want to go. They have a 3-game lead on Texas, but the Rangers play great baseball here in August.
Yeah, you can't take anything for granted. AJ knows that, and he's going to put those horses out there that have gotten him this far in the race, that's for sure.
You think some of the problem might be that not any particular player in mind, but say you call up player X from AAA, and he's been around the club maybe earlier in the year, not exactly the hardest worker. You're afraid that he might come up and realize, well, I'm not going to play very much, I'll just kind of kick back. You don't want to, as a hardworking player, see somebody come up and be on a gravy train and kick back while you're trying to win a pennant.
Yeah. No, and that's all part of that coaching staff and front office. Those guys are having meetings leading up to September 1st saying, number one, they're saying who deserves it. Number two, they're saying how are they going to fit in. You know, that's a big question to be asked right now, because as much analysis and data crunching that goes on here in Houston, they've done a good job of compiling great players, but I don't think they anticipated having such a good core group of guys that we keep talking about who have this camaraderie around themselves. They don't want to mess that up. They've got the best of both worlds right now for me.
It's all about calling up players who might help this team win. Into right field, a hit for Miller. And it's first and second, 1 out now for Sucre. Keuchel at 115 pitches in the bullpen, busy. And A.J. Hinch is going to call a halt to Dallas Keuchel's evening, it would appear. With the 5-1 lead, Dallas has put in 6 1/3 innings of quality work. Now time for the bullpen to come in right after this. Well, it seems that Dallas is not coming out of this game.
So he can negotiate as well.
Fans are liking this.
You know, Keuchel's corner's loving this.
He has been known for going deep into games. 3 complete games so far this year. He wants to stay in, try to get a double play ball here on Sucre. Sucre is lined to short and struck out. So he got the first out on a routine pop-up, then an error, then a single. And now there's strike 1 for Keuchel. $19,923 that paid attendance tonight. In for a strike. 0-2.
Sucre is complaining, but Keuchelangelo is painting.
Foul back. Keuchel threw 116 pitches when he shut out the Yankees here June 25th on 6 hits. He struck out 12 that night. And now he has passed that by a few. 1-2. As Julia showed us before the game, Mike Fiers got a very nice trophy he can hang on his wall somewhere for his no-hitter. The 134 pitch no-hitter against the Dodgers here on the 21st. So AJ will let a pitcher stay in, depending. Rolled out to short. Correa tossing. Altuve turning. 6-4-3 double play. Second double play of the night. They've both been big for Dallas. Keuchel, no runs, a hit, an error, and a man left. 7th inning stretch time comes to Houston. The Astros lead the Mariners 5-1.
Call to the bullpen. For the Seattle Mariners, it's going to be Rob Rasmussen. 14th appearance on the season, record 2-1. Got himself a couple of holds. That ERA is ballooned at about a dozen.10. He's got 6 walks in those 9 2/3 innings. Hopefully some patient Astro hitters get a good pitch to hit. Keep this ball rolling. Keep driving that baseball out of this ballpark.
Bottom of the 7th inning and the top of the order. Well, hitters are greedy. You should know about that, Mr. Blum. They do not want to shut it down, especially in a pennant race.
Absolutely. More is better.
5-1 lead. Altuve has 2 of the Astros' 7 hits. They've both been singles. He has scored a run. And he is just in a feeding frenzy at the plate this month of August. Smacks one into left field. Another 3-hit game for Jose Altuve. And the machine just keeps on churning out hits.
Isn't that the truth? So much for being patient, huh? Just go up there and get that first one up in the zone. Just go up there and hack, and anything Altuve touches right now is turned into a base hit.
He's had hits off his ankles. He's had hits off his shoulders. He is just hitting everything this month. Gonzalez is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Here's ball 1. The Seattle bullpen has been dicey with a 4.36 ERA, 20 blown saves, 29 losses this year. Ouch. Former closer Fernando Rodney was traded a short time ago. Line drive by Marwin. That drops in and left. He has a 6-game hitting streak. We go to Julia C. Morales.
Guys, as Carlos Correa comes up, having a nice night after returning to the lineup, missing 4 games. But A.J. Hinch said that he should pick up right where he left off, especially all the work that he was doing in the cage and keeping his timing as far as hitting, even while he was nursing that sore hamstring. Never a doubt with this 20-year-old, guys.
Julia, of course, you've poured over statistics of Carlos Correa, as a lot of fans have. Carlos is 2 for 3 tonight. He ripped a high 2-run homer to left center field in the 5th inning. Plummer has a theory on how Carlos Correa, who in 2013 hit 9 homers at Quad Cities, and in 2014 in 249 at bats at Lancaster hit 6 homers, now has 16 major league homers. Why is he hitting so many more home runs in the big leagues where the pitching is tougher?
Pitching is tougher, but it is more in the vicinity of the strike zone. There, he is seeing more pitches in the strike zone than he ever did in the minor leagues. Those guys are effectively wild down there, all over the place, possibly pitching around a guy like Carlos Correa, which they soon will be up here. But he is seeing more pitches around the strike zone. He's got a good, solid base. He doesn't have to dance around, worry about whether the next pitch is going to be in his ear hole or on the outside corner. He has got good balance. Batting eyes are a lot better here, too. Everything's better in the show, Brownie.
You did the same thing when you came up.
I did. I mean, early on. I don't want to have any comparisons anymore to Carlos Correa because this kid is a phenom. But I was a guy in the minor leagues that hit, I think I hit 10 total one year, and it was the year I got called up. But just grow up a little bit more, you mature. But the way that Carlos Correa has his strike zone discipline here in the major leagues, where guys are just working off the edges and challenge you a little bit more, is why he's hitting more home runs, I believe.
Cruz comes over near the right field line, in position for a throw to third base, and he uncorks one. It's a beauty. 1 out. And as you indicated earlier, talking about Correa, the foundations of this power display at the major league level began when he was injured last year. He had the broken bone in his leg, which cut short his season at Lancaster, and he started working this type of hitting that has yielded the results with not as much topspin, more backspin, getting his hands through the zone better this year.
No, that's his bat path is incredible. And he was having a tough time with that pitch inside, so he set up a tee out there and really taught himself how to bring the knob of the bat to the baseball first and keeping a strong top hand, and that's where all the power is being supplied from.
And so he's hit balls out to right field, and we've seen him hit so well with 2 strikes. He looks like a veteran when he comes up to the plate in a key situation.
His approach is unbelievable, and when I say the bottom, he's bringing that bottom hand is basically directing the bat to the baseball, and what he does with that strong top hand is keeps the barrel above it. So when he gets to contact point, he's got an L in his arm and just absolutely unloads with that top hand through it. But he has perfected it. And like you said, he's got a veteran mentality and a veteran swing at the age of 20.
Evan Gattis with strike 1.
See how that bottom hand kind of directs that right at the baseball, but it's that top hand that gets to the This is a great look. That power L that you see in that right arm at contact point, and when he drives through that baseball, that right hand releases all that power right through it.
Gattis fouls it. No balls, 2 strikes to Gattis.
Yeah, slow it down a little bit more. Watch that knob go to where the baseball is. And then immediately when he recognizes that he wants to swing, that top hand brings the barrel through quickly. And when I say keeping the barrel, you want to keep the barrel above the baseball, but you also want to keep it above your shoulder as a reference point too. If the barrel drops below the back shoulder, creates that loop in the swing.
Foul by Gattis. The Reds lead the Cubs 7-5 at Chicago, and they have finished the 7th inning now. Dexter Fowler hit his 15th homer in a bid to keep his job as the Cubs center fielder. Fowler's hitting .258 this season. But in case you missed it, the Cubs just traded for Austin Jackson in Seattle earlier today. Wide open space is right center field. Gattis might get 3 again. He's going to drive in a couple, and this one goes out of play. So it's a double for Evan Gattis, who has 9 triples this year. And it looked like another one in the making, but it went through that fence and left the field of play. So it's a double for Gattis. And 1 more RBI, giving him 72 for the season.
Got my hopes up, Brownie.
Yeah.
Ball driven the other way. What Gattis does well is get on top of some of these pitches and drive them the other way.
He wanted 3. You know he did.
Yeah, look at him. The disappointment is just flowing out of his beard.
Hit field in, Carlos Gomez, the batter. It's ball 1 to Gomez. 6-1 Astros. They have 10 hits. Jed Lowry's on deck. Smash into left field. Marlins scoring to make it 7-1 on the RBI single by Gomez. That takes his hitting streak to 6 games. It's his 9th run batted in with the Astros.
Tell me hitting's not contagious. These guys want this. It's good to see Carlos Gomez getting in on the action, trying to get his bat going. There it is. Great poster, Michelangelo. No, these Astro hitters are getting after it. There must be something about this Minute Maid Park. I'm not sure what it is, but they love hitting here. They see the ball great here, put together great at bats. But it's just absolutely relentless right now.
Did you experience that when you played here, that there was something more favorable about this ballpark for the hitter at all that you can remember?
For me personally, I loved hitting here. I was completely comfortable. I knew that there were hits all over the place. Even though I played shallow down the lines, those gaps in right and left center field are a great place to hit the baseball. You catch those teams pinching you a little more towards the alleys, and then you can yank one down each line. Some of your mistakes fell in. A lot of your line drives fell in, but it was always nice stepping into the box knowing that if you squared one up at any part of this ballpark other than center field, it had a chance to get out of there. Such a confidence builder as a hitter.
Lowry with a homer and a double takes ball one.
It was also nice hitting in this ballpark knowing that the opposing pitcher was thinking about pitching in here.
The Astros have a .448 slugging percentage at home, .392 on the road. In for a strike, 1-1. They've won 21 of their last 26 home games. They're 45-21 here. And it's just a great feel for them, especially when Dallas Keuchel is on the mound and they're at home. Fouled away, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Texas and San Diego are in the bottom of the second inning, no score. The Angels got a run, and now Oakland is batting. 1-0 Angels, bottom of the first. Now Jared Weaver of the Angels gave up a grand slam yesterday. He's allowed 6 grand slams in his career now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Rangers and Angels will be playing each other soon. This weekend. Astros don't play Texas until the middle of September.
We always talk about a possible rivalry, and I know that silver boot is something that everybody goes for in an Astros uniform. But you add some playoff intensity to that rivalry, it's going to grow pretty quickly here.
Well, it appears more and more likely in the minds of some baseball fans that there will be 2 playoff teams from Texas this year.
That would be a great thing.
Bounce to third. Seager lays back, throws to second, and then Cano does not throw to first. Gaddis scoring to make it 8-1. And the RBI goes to Lowry, his second of the night and 19th of the year. George Springer tonight at Corpus Christi is 1 for 4, and he has scored a run. That'll be pleasing to A.J. Hinch. He had hoped that George would get 4 or 5 at-bats tonight.
And that's what you want to see. You want to see Springer string together back-to-back games of multiple ABs. Get his legs back under him, because that's something else that has to be conditioned. And just make sure that when you talk to him after the game that he talks about no discomfort in that hand.
Colby Rasmus bats for the first time tonight. He took over in left field. There's ball 1 to Rasmus, a .227 hitter with 17 homers, 46 runs batted in, and 348 at bats. Yeah, the plan is for George to play again tomorrow night for Corpus Christi and then be reevaluated. Out to center field. Miller moves in for the catch. And the Astros, with a 3-run 7th inning, have added to their lead, and they're in front now 8-1. 1. The Astros lead it, and Dallas Keuchel is one of the big reasons. He gave up the Trumbo homer, but had a lot of good things going on tonight.
Oh, he really did. Talked about how he needed to change lanes, change speeds. He did all of that and then more against the Seattle team. Looked a little disastrous there when he a couple of walks and a base hit, loaded up the bases, but he proceeded to do what he does, get a ground ball, double play to get out of it. Strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, only that 1 walk in that inning, but the man is an absolute workhorse. And you can't appreciate enough what this man brings to this ball club. The club could be 12-4 after losses with Keuchel pitching.
These pitchers for the Astros have led their league in wins. Joe Niekro, Mike Scott, Mike Hampton, Roy Oswalt. Now Dallas Keuchel. He's tied with Felix Hernandez for the top spot currently with 15. It would appear he's on his way to number 16 with the 8-1 lead, and Will Harris taking over. Dallas threw 121 pitches, 75 for strikes. Ketel Marte takes ball 1 high. Marte has struck out all 3 times tonight. Keuchel had 1 walk and 8 strikeouts and 2 double play balls along the way. He could be 12-0 at home. Roll to first base. Marwin Gonzalez, 3 unassisted, out number 1. AT called the bullpen, brings in a pitcher with a 5-2 record, a 1.42 ERA, a 0.84 WHIP. What a pleasant surprise Will Harris has been to the Houston Astros.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of the acclaim because he wasn't one of those big free agent signs, but unbelievable waiver pickup. Great guy, good personality out there in the bullpen, and his numbers are off the charts for me.
Yeah, you and a lot of others.
Man.
Seager is 1 for 3. Just been amazing what Will has done with those numbers, indicative of his success, but also the way he's been moved into more and more late game situations and still has had that same effectiveness. A strike makes it 0-2 to Seager. Astros bullpen ERA is still second best in the American League, 2.70. And of course, their overall staff ERA, 3.32, leads the American League. With Keuchel's quality start tonight, they have 13 straight quality starts now. 1-2. And a win tonight would give Dallas Keuchel a share of the club record for consecutive wins at home. 13. He and Dr. Death, Danny Darwin, will be sharing that mark. Gomez over into left center field. Rasmus is there, but Gomez takes it. 2 outs.
Every Wednesday night home game is $1 Hot Dog Wednesday, presented by Nolan Ryan Beef. The next $1 Dog Fiesta is this Wednesday when the Astros take on the Mariners. For more information, visit Astros.com/$Dogs or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Well, this Wednesday night, it's Scott Kazmir and Taijuan Walker with a 7:10 start. Come early, get some $1 Dogs for dinner, and enjoy a ball game. Nelson Cruz has a walk and a single in 3 trips to the plate. That's ball 1. The Rangers in that 0-0 game in the early stages in San Diego have Colby Lewis on the mound, and Tyson Ross is pitching for San Diego tonight. They're currently in the top of the 3rd inning. It's 1-1 to Cruz. The Angels, with that 1-0 lead in Oakland, are now in the bottom of the 2nd. They are now at 500, 65-65. Hector Santiago's pitching for them against Felix Dubront. Eric Ibar drove in the run. 1-2. It's been a miserable month of August for Mike Trout. A lot of people think he hurt his wrist about a month ago trying to make a diving catch in the outfield.
I think that'll be one of the interesting things to watch is when the Angels, if and when they feel they're out of it, if Mike Trout continues to play, because I agree with you. Something might be going on there.
Marisnick in right for out number 3. It goes quickly for Will Harris in the 8th inning. The Astros lead at 8-1.
It is time to name that Astros. Brought to you by your local Honda dealer. The allowed a famous homer. His cousin's the first ballot Hall of Famer. We had a few guesses on Twitter. Let's see what we had. Here we go. Here's a couple. Has to be lights out. Brad Lidge. That's a no. Nope. I looked through my Twitter. I couldn't find anybody that got it correct today. Let's see who it is. Jack Billingham.
Oh, of course.
He gave up Hank Aaron's 714 homer. His cousin is pitcher Christy Mathewson. His 0.36 ERA and 26 1/3 World Series innings is second all time. It's behind Madison Bumgarner, but ahead of both Babe Ruth and his cousin, Christy Mathewson. That was tough.
It was tough.
Oh, boy. Nobody could get that. Hank Conger, the batter. We've had some changes for the Mariners, and they have now lost the designated hitter because Jesus Montero, who was the DH, has gone in to play first base. And Mark Trumbo has moved out to right field, with Nelson Cruz coming out of the game. So the 4, 5, 6 hitters are due up in the 9th inning. And a breaking pitch takes it to 1-2 on Conger. The Astros leading at 8-1, batting in the 8th inning. Conger hit the homer in the 4th. By the way, he now has 9. Marwin Gonzalez has 9. So if one of those two guys hits one more this year, the Astros will have a new club record with 10 players with at least 10 home runs. That's a strikeout. Lowest World Series ERAs, Madison Bumgarner 0.25, Jack Billingham 0.36.
Are you kidding me with these numbers?
Those are Bugs Bunny numbers.
No doubt.
Did Bugs Bunny pitch?
And played left, right, center.
Okay.
Short, third, first, second. I think he even caught.
Foul ball, Jake Marisnick. Strike 1 to Jake. He's 0 for 2 after being hit by a pitch on the ankle. Washington 5, St. Louis 5, bottom of the 7th. Both starting pitchers are out of that game now. Ryan Zimmerman hit his 13th homer. In for a strike, and it's 0-2.
This guy thinks he's Sean Doolittle.
Oh, yeah, with a glove.
Yep.
Tap foul. Jake Arrieta in the month of August was 6-0 with a 0.43 ERA. Blummer. Not too many pitchers win 6 in a month. Starting pitchers, anyway.
You know who was 4th on that list?
No.
Scott Feldman.
Very good. Well, Scott will be up tomorrow night against Roenis Elias, another lefty for Seattle. Or isn't he? Now, did he foul it? That's the question. He's called for swinging the bat and striking out, evidently. Checking here with Angel Hernandez. But Angel has said that he struck out.
Yeah, foul ball on the bounce.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. There it is. Hit the bat. But he was called out, and Jake knew he fouled it, but Angel Hernandez has called a swing and a miss. So, strikeout number 2 of the inning. They hit the bat. Should have been a foul ball.
I am going to present a question.
Okay.
As a manager on a team that is beating up on another team, is there a new code or a new set of rules that says I'm not going to challenge a play even though I think it might be right because I'm pounding on your team?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Fouled away, but
I mean, if it was a bang play at first and it would have been a hit,
right,
I say go argue.
Sure.
But at the same time, you just qualified Jake Marisnick for a strikeout. So I mean, where's that line?
Well, yeah, he came out to defend his player, but you're right. Scoreboard says let's not press the point here. It's 8-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the Cardinals have taken the lead with 4 in the 7th inning over the Nationals, 7-5. Altuve has hits his last 3 times up. 2 balls and a strike to Jose. Astros with a win tonight would once again be 14 games over 500 for the 6th time this year. They've never been more than 14 over 500 this season.
That can change here at home.
Now, obviously 14 over 500 is good enough to get a playoff spot, right?
I would say so.
A.J. Hinch has been joking about trying to keep up with the minor league clubs because 4 different Astros minor league affiliates have clinched playoff spots. Quad Cities has 84 wins. Corpus Christi 83, needing 1 more for a club record. And the Astros are going for their 73rd. 3-2. And A.J. was asked tonight, have you ever been in an organization where all the teams made the playoffs, major and minor league?
No.
He hadn't.
That's crazy.
J.D. Davis now has 100 runs batted in for Lancaster. A.J. Reed has 33 homers, and some of those in Corpus to lead the minors. Bouncer third. Seager with a throw across low, and it's dug out. Good play by Montero to make it a 1-2-3 8th inning. We move to the 9th, 8-1 Houston. Sports is presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. The Astros lead at 8-1, moving to the 9th inning here. They're glad they came. The Mariners got a home run from Mark Trumbo in the 2nd inning, and that was a 1-1 game at that point. Then they threatened to move in front in the 4th. Bases loaded, nobody out, but Dallas Keuchel got a 1-2-3 double play ball, then a strikeout. And the Astros went to work. They've hit 3 homers tonight. Now it's pitcher number 3, Oliver Perez, on our AT&T call to the pen.
Oliver's had a rough go of it of late, trying to find the strike zone. Still got pretty good numbers for him in his 56th appearance this season. He's only been in 7 games with the Astros, now 8.
Robinson Cano faces him, leading off the 9th inning. Cano is 1 for 3. That's ball 1. 7 games remaining this season between the Astros and the Texas Rangers. How big are those?
Yeah, pump up these numbers at home, get everything going smooth. Although the next time they face them, it will be back in Arlington.
That's a 4-game series.
And that's at the end of that big 10-game road trip, too.
Yes, it is.
So that's an even tougher spot.
1-1. When the Astros score at least 4 runs in a game, their record is 57-10. Foul back, and it's 1-2. So as we are about to embark upon the month of September, what a month it could be for Astros fans. 3 more outs here, and the Astros will take a record of 73-59 into the month with at least a 3-game lead. Texas nothing, San Diego nothing, bottom of the 3rd. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes, and they will go into the month of September with some veteran players in the bullpen, certainly, and that's going to be really important for this club. But also a group of guys who have never been there in terms of winning a division title or gaining a playoff berth. Cano strikes out. So there will be some doubters. Let's go to the Pythagorean theorem. The Astros have outscored their opponents by 103 runs this year. So by that formula, they should be about 20 games over 500, right?
Yep.
Meanwhile, the Rangers have been outscored by 19. The Angels outscored by 17. The Mariners outscored by 98. The Athletics, make some sense out of this. They've outscored their opponents by 11, and they're 57-74.
So they win the close games and absolutely get blown out in their losses. Or are they blowing people out in their losses and losing the close ones?
Yeah.
Winning blowouts?
Yeah, when they win, they're winning big, and they're losing a lot of close games.
Man.
But still hard to make rhyme or reason. So
the record shouldn't be as bad as it is.
No, but you know, the Pythagorean theorem developed by Bill James, as it applies to the American League West, needs to be thrown in the wastebasket this year.
You can't throw data and analytics in the wastebasket, Brownie.
Oh, you would?
Yes, I would.
Out into left center field. That's a hit. Gomez picks it up. Okay, the A's are 15-30 in 1-run games.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Stay tuned after the game as Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton break down all the action from today's game, plus interviews from the clubhouse and much more on the Astros postgame show presented by Houston Methodist.
Kevin will explain the Pythagorean theorem.
We'll show up to that class that missed it years ago.
Strike to Mark Trumbo. Can you monitor a class without actually taking it? Is that the term? You know, when you get older, you can go back to college just for the enjoyment of it. You don't need to make a grade. What is that called? Monitoring the class?
Sure. Doing some scouting.
In for a strike, 0-2. And the base runner made it. Oh, it's called auditing. Gutierrez overseas. It's not monitoring. It's auditing a class. So
It'd be a good one to audit.
Let's go back and audit some of these math classes and see if we can figure out what it is we're supposed to be explaining, shall we?
All that would be is just a reminder of how awful I am in math.
It's got to be much more fun when you don't have to get a grade.
Right? That's true. You might actually learn a lot more if you know you're not getting graded on it, huh?
That's high, and it's also foul. No balls, 2 strikes to Trumbo. Padres 2, Rangers nothing. Bottom of the 3rd inning.
Go Fathers.
Matt Kemp has his 81st RBI. Yonder Alonso also has driven in a run off Colby Lewis. The left fielder Rasmus heads back to the bullpen wall. Now he backs off that wall, looks up and plays it. That's a home run. Trumbo hits his 2nd of the night. And it's now an 8-3 ball game as Trumbo has 10 this year.
Rough times get rougher for Oliver Perez.
Yeah, he had a difficult outing yesterday.
It's a strong man right there, and Trumbo able to kind of have his backside in the dugout and able to keep the hands back and just one-handed out of here.
Trumbo hit 9 homers in the National League. There's a line drive, Altuve. Up and down to Montero, 2 outs. Well, it's actually a total of 19 homers between the 2 leagues for Trumbo. And it's Brad Miller next. Miller 2 for 3. Perez yesterday gave up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning at Minnesota. He allowed a 2-run homer to Miguel Sano. So 2 homers allowed in 2 outings for Oliver Perez. In tight for a ball. Remember the Astros AAA and AA affiliates headed for the playoffs. Of course, they have a lot of postseason action to look forward to, so the Astros may not call up too many. That's out to right center field. Marisnick breaking for it. Marisnick makes the catch on the run to end this one, and the Astros win it 8-3. Dallas Keuchel goes to 16-6. He is the American League leader in wins. He has won 13 straight at home to tie the club record. And this season, he is 12-0 at home in a magnificent year for the Astros. They support him with 3 home runs and 11 hits. 8-3 Houston tonight.